Hi, hello students. Welcome to Indian Tech Guru for you. Let us move on to the next topic. The next topic is asynchronous serial transfer. Asynchronous serial transfer. Basically, there are four different types of transfers. So, asynchronous serial transfer, synchronous serial transfer, asynchronous parallel transfer, synchronous parallel transfer. So, coming to the difference between the parallel transfer and serial transfer. So, in case of parallel transfer, so we are going to transfer a group of bits at a time from sender to receiver. So, to transfer a group of bits, we need more lines, more hardware lines to transmit the data. So, in general, the parallel transfer will be applied whenever there are short distances. Okay, so for example, if you want to move the data from main memory to CPU registers, the distance is very short. So then we are going to go for the parallel transfer. So whereas if a long distance transmission is required, then we will be preferring for serial transfer. As far as the serial transfer is concerned, that the bits will be transmitted bit by bit. Each bit will be transmitted. So after the transmission is successful, then these bits will be grouped as a group of bits such as a byte or a word and formed accordingly. So after forming as a byte or word, it will be treated as a single entity. So like this, the serial transfer will occur. So coming to the synchronous and asynchronous. So synchronous means there will be a common clock for the sender as well as the receiver. As far as the asynchronous is concerned, there will not be a common clock. However, individual clocks will be there for timing purpose for both the sender as well as the receiver. So that is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous. Now let us start with the asynchronous serial transfer. Asynchronous serial transfer. As far as the asynchronous serial transfer is concerned, so we stated that we are going to transmit the data bit by bit. So however, to recognize the start of a particular block of data as well as the ending of the particular block of data, so we are going to provide we are going to divide the entire character. Generally we send character by character. So entire character into three different parts. The parts are start bit, and then data bits, and then stop bit or stop bits. Okay, so the start bit is going to recognize that the character will be started. So this particular start bit will recognize the character is being transmitted will be started from here. After that, there will be data bits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 data bits are there. So these 8 data bits are going to recognize the character. After that, there will be stop bits. So in some of the computers, they are going to employ two stop bits, and the recent computers are going to deploy only one stop bit. So like this, the asynchronous serial transfer will occur. So as far as the character being transmitted, a character can be detected by the receiver from the knowledge of the four rules. So what are these four rules? Let us see the four rules. Rule number 1: when data are not being sent, the line is kept in the one state. Okay. So how could it recognize, the receiver recognize whether a character is being transmitted? So whenever it is changed from the one state, initially it will be in one state. So what is meant by one state? Always it is going to receive ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, something like that. Okay. So whenever it keep on receives 1, then it will be in one state, which means that ideal state, which determines that the sender has not sent any character. Okay, so if it is in one state, what does it mean? It is in the ideal state. The sender has not sent any data. Okay, so step number 2, the initiation of a character transmission is detected by a start bit, which is always a 0. So like this, ones are being transmitted. So and after some time, so a 0 is transmitted. So then the receiver recognizes that some data is being sent by the sender. So in general, a character is being sent by the sender. So this will be until this there will be ideal state. So after the start bit, whenever it receives 0, then it recognizes that a character is being transmitted, and as the character is being transmitted, in the third step, the character bits always follow the start bit. Okay, so this is the start bit. Start bit will always be 0. So these are the character bits 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. So after the start bits, whatever the bits that are transmitted based on the size of the bits. So the character consists of 8 bits. So 8 bits, up to 8 bits, it considers as a character. After the last character, or after the last bit, a stop bit is detected when the line returns to the one state for at least one bit time. So after 0, 8 characters are being transmitted, 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. So after 8 characters are over, after the last bit, this is the last bit. So after the last bit transmission, then if there is a 1 bit, then it represents a stop bit. So then it will once again come to the one state. One state means ideal state. So that is no character is being transmitted. The receiver knows in advance the transfer rate of the bits and the number of information bits to expect. So because it knows that 8 characters are the data bits. So after the 8 characters only, it checks for the stop bit. Accordingly, it is going to convert into ideal state. So in the olden computers, there will be 2 stop bits, that is 2 ones, and in the present computers, there will be only 1 1 to indicate the stop bit. Okay, so like this, the serial data transmission will be occurring. Next concept is, the next topic is asynchronous communication interface. Asynchronous communication interface. So this asynchronous communication interface is a circuit by which we can perform both the transmission as well as the receiving. So we can transfer the data as well as the receive the data. That's why, so it is also called as universal asynchronous receiver transmitter. Universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, UART. Okay. So the asynchronous communication interface is also called as universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, UART. So this is the block diagram for the UART. What are the different components available in this particular block diagram? So this is the bus buffers, and from CPU, the bidirectional data bus will be connected to the bus buffers, and there will be an internal bus, so like this, and there will be a transmitter register, shift register, so which is going to transmit the data to the IO device, So there will be a control register, transmitter control and clock, and there will be a status register, receiver control and clock, and there will be a receiver register and shift register, so which is going to perform the receiver operation. So first of all, let us see the operations separately. Initially, let us go through the transmitter operation to perform the transmission of data. So actually the transmission of data will be from CPU to the particular IO device, So initially from the CPU register, the data will be transmitted to the transmitter register. Now the data is available in the transmitter register. What is the data? So we discussed previously, the data is a character which will contain 8 bits. So this particular transmitter register now contains the character which contains 8 bits. So before actually it is being transmitted, it will be moved to the shift register. So the character from transmitter register will be moved to the shift register parallelly, because you can see that the transmitter register as well as the shift register will have the same size, same number of bits. That is why you can directly transmit the data. So what is the purpose of shift register? The shift register is used to actually transmit the data. So to actually transmit the data, we need to transmit the data bit by bit. So that is why before actually transmitting the data, the shift register is going to add a 0 as the start bit. Okay, already we discussed how the data is transmitted serially. So we need to add a 0 as the start bit. So the shift register is going to add a 0 to the start bit, and then it is going to accumulate all the bits of the character, and then finally it is going to append sufficient number of stop bits. So generally the stop bits may be either 2 ones or a single one. So it is going to append, for example, if it is 2 1 bits, then it is going to append 2 1 bits to the data. So after doing so, so it will start transmitting the data. So it will start transmitting the data to the IO device. Okay. So this is how the transmission operation is carried out. So during this transmission operation, the CPU is going to check the status register for the status of the transmitter register. So whether it is full or empty. So because if it is empty, then only it can transmit the data. So if it is full, it cannot transmit the data. So now whenever the shift register is transmitting the data to the IO device, because the transmitter register is now free, we can transmit one more character from CPU to transmitter register. So that's why it can be considered as a parallel operation. So that is why it is called as double buffered. The interface is said to be double buffered. What does it mean? While the shift register is transmitting the data to the IO device, the CPU will transmit one more character to the transmitter register. So that is why it is called as double buffered, because we are using 2 buffers. At the same time we are using 2 buffers. So this is how the transmission operation is carried out. So however, before actually transmitting the second character to the transmitter register, the CPU needs to check the status register to make sure that the transmitter register is empty. Then only it can transmit the next character to the transmitter register. So that is the first operation, transmitter operation, how it is performed. So as in case of this block diagram. So next the second operation is receive operation. Receive operation. How the receive operation is carried out? So receive operation is for receive operation also we are going to use the same circuit. The same circuit will be used for both the transmission as well as the receiving operation. So receive operation is done from the I/O device to the CPU. So initially the data is received from the I/O device, and it is stored in the shift register. Before actually receiving the data from the I/O device, it is going to check for the start bit, so as well as the 8 bits character and then stop bit. So as in case of the previous example. So after checking all the bits, then finally the character will be stored in shift register. So from shift register, it will be moved to the receiver register parallelly, and then from receiver register, it will be transmitted through the internal bus to the bus buffer, and then using the bidirectional data bus, it will be transferred to the CPU register. So this is how the receiver operation is carried out. So these are the two operations that are performed using the universal asynchronous receiver transmitter UART. So however, during the transmission of the data, either the transmission or receiving of the data, some errors may occur. There are three possible errors that could occur during these two operations. So there are three possible errors that may occur during the transmission. The first error is a parity error. Parity error. So parity error means whatever the data we have sent from the sender to the receiver, either from the CPU to the I/O device or from the I/O device to the CPU, some of the bits may not be transmitted correctly. For example, if you transmit a 1 bit, then at the receiver it may be converted as 0 due to some internal error or hardware error. So then how to check this error? Using the parity, we will check this error. There are two different parities, even parity and odd parity. Using either even parity or odd parity, we can check whether the bits transmitted are correct or not. Okay, so that is one type of error. To avoid this error, we can check the parity of the data transmitted from sender to receiver. And the second possible error is a framing error. So framing error occurs whenever we are not going to stuff the sufficient number of the stop bits. For example, as I discussed previously, in some of the olden computers, we need to add 2 stop bits, that is 2 ones after the character. Similarly, in new computers, we are going to add only 1 1. So during this adding of the bits, if some error has occurred and we could not add the framing, we could not add the bits properly, stop bits properly, then it is called as a framing error. And the third error that could occur is an overrun error. Overrun error. So this overrun error occurs whenever the CPU do not receive the data from the receiver register due to any problem. Okay, so without receiving the data, so if you send one more character and the previous character may be missed, may be lost, so such type of error is called as overrun error. So these are the three different types of errors that could occur during the transmission of the data. And as far as the operations are considered, so the control is carried out through the register select. So this register select will determine which register is being selected, and which operation need to be performed. So here RD represents the read operation, WR represents the write operation. So there are two different possibilities for the read operations as well as for the write operations. Here you can see the first write operation indicates that the CS value, chip select value as well as RS value will be 1, 0. So this write operation is performed as writing the data to the transmitter register. From CPU, writing the data to the transmitter register. So is recognized by WR operation if the CS value is 1 and RS value is 1, chip select value is 1 and register select value is 0. Similarly, the second write operation represents the writing the data from the CPU to the control register. So CS1, RS1 represents the write operation which is actually performing the write to the control register. So control register holds the control information for proper transmission of the data. And 1, 0 represents the read operation for the receiver register. So whenever the 1, 0 values are there for CS and RS, the operation is receive the data from the receiver register to the CPU. This operation represents. And 1, 1 represents 1, 1 also represents the read operation. However, reading the content from the status register. So the CPU is going to read the content from the status register. So status register contains the status of the transmitter register as well as the receiver register, whether the transmitter and the receiver registers are full or empty. So based on that, it is going to carry out the operation. Coming to the chip select is very, very important. This chip select is actually used to select the interface through the address bus. So which interface must be selected is determined by the chip select. Interface selection is determined by the chip select. Okay. So based on the chip select value and based on the register select value, the particular operation will be defined, and there are two write operations, two read operations. So write operation can be performed for both the transmitter register as well as the control register from the CPU, and read operation can be performed from the receiver register and from the status register to the CPU. So like this we can have a detailed explanation regarding the universal asynchronous receiver transmitter known as the UART. And the speed at which the data is transmitted is defined as the baud rate. You already know what is meant by a bit rate and baud rate. So how many bits are transmitted per time period is defined as the baud rate. So based on that, the data transmission will be occurred either very fastly or slowly. The next topic is first in first out buffer, FIFO buffer. So already we know what is meant by a buffer. So what is a buffer? It is a temporary storage area. So what is the purpose of a buffer? It can store the data temporarily. Okay. So what is the important feature of a buffer is it can input data and output data at two different rates. So for example, assume that we have a keyboard. We have keyboard as the input device. So which is a sender, and processor registers, CPU register as output device, that is receiver. Okay. So now we are going to send the data from keyboard to CPU register. So keyboard is very slow device, very slow, and CPU is very fast. Then how to balance the speed between the keyboard as well as the CPU registers? By using a buffer. So the advantage of buffer is it can input data and output data at two different rates. So instead of directly sending the data from the keyboard to the CPU, so we are going to send the data from the keyboard to buffer. Now the buffer can accumulate the data that is being sent from the keyboard very slowly, and then once the data is ready, then it can fastly send to the CPU register. So here the sender is slow and the receiver is fast. So there may be occurrence of in the reverse way also. That is, we may send the data from the CPU register to the monitor. Here the CPU register is the sender and monitor is the receiver. CPU register is very fast and monitor is slow. So that's why what we are going to do, so we are going to place a buffer in between. So from CPU register, the data will be transmitted very fastly to the buffer, and the buffer slowly transfers data to the monitor. So now the buffer acts as an intermediary between a slow device and a faster device. Okay, so it can hold the data. It can hold the data temporarily to make sure that the speed is balanced between a faster device and a slower device. In this diagram, we will see a 4x4 FIFO buffer. So what is meant by FIFO buffer means first in first out buffer means so whatever the data that is placed first, that should be output first. Okay, first in first out. For example, I am typing a word smart, S-M-A-R-T, smart. So while typing in the keyboard S-M-A-R-T, so it should be stored in the same order. First S must be stored, then M, then A, then R, then T. So the sequence must not be changed. So because there is a meaning for the word. So if you change the sequence, then the meaning will be changed. That is why, so whatever the buffer we are going to use, that must follow the first in first out order. So whatever the character that is inserted first, that should be output first. So that is why it is called as the first in first out buffer. See the points. Input data and output data are at two different rates. Output data are always in the same order in which the data entered in the buffer. Useful in some applications when data is transferred asynchronously. So these are the points for the first in first out buffer. So in this diagram, we will discuss about the 4x4 FIFO buffer. 4x4 FIFO buffer. First of all, see the components. What are the components available in this circuit diagram? There are 4 registers of 4 bits each, R1, R2, R3, R4. 4 registers of 4 bits each, and there are 4 control registers. F1, F2, F3, F4. So which are controlled by set reset commands. Okay, set reset commands. Set means the value will be set to 1. Set to 1. Reset means set to 0. Okay, so reset means set to 0. So set reset F1 dash, that is the reverse value. So these are the control registers. So there are 4 control registers: F1, F2, F3, F4, and there is an insert line and input ready line. Insert line and input ready line. So whenever the input is ready, then it is going to insert the data. Okay, these insert and input ready will be used as whenever the input is ready, then perform the insertion operation. So that is why these two control lines, input ready and insert, constitutes a destination initiated pair of handshake lines. So that is based on the values of the input ready and insert, data will be sent to the first register R1. Okay, so based on the values of the insert line and the input ready line, data will be sent to the first register R1. Similarly, there are two output lines, output ready and delete. Output ready and delete. So based on the values of output ready and delete, the data will be transferred from R4 to output lines, So whenever the output is ready, then data will be sent from R4 to output lines, and the data in R4 will be deleted because it is no longer needed. Okay, so that is done using output ready and delete. So these two are also synchronized. Okay, so these two are also synchronized. That is, these two control lines, output ready and delete, constitute a source initiated pair of handshake lines. Okay, so based on the values of output ready and delete, we are going to perform the output operation. So these are the basic things that are available in the circuit, and the master clear is going to set all flip-flop values to 0. Okay, so that is all flip-flop values are set to 0. That is F1, F2, F3, F4 values are set to 0. So based on the master clear. So whenever we perform the master clear operation, so then all flip-flop values are set to 0. So these are the basic building blocks in the circuit, and as every circuit contains, there will be a clock. There will be a clock which is going to start the clock and perform the operation. Okay. So now let us see how the operation is carried out. How the operation is carried out. So the operation is carried out based on the value of the F1, because F1 is the control function here. So if F1 is equal to 0, F1 is set to 0, then there is no data in register R1. No data in register R1. If F1 is set means if F1 is assigned to 1, then the data available in register R1, that is a 4-bit data available in register R1. Okay, so this is the rule. So whenever F1 is set means F1 value is 1, then a 4-bit data is available in register R1, and whenever F1 is 0, then no data is there in register R1. This rule applies for each and every register. Okay, if F2 is 0, then no data in R2, and F2 is 1, then data available in R2, like this. Okay, so it applies to each and every register. So if you want to accommodate more number of registers, you can accommodate. So there is no rule that you should take only 4 registers, R1, R2, R3, R4. So you can expand. You can have 10 registers, 20 registers also. Similarly, in each register, you need not to take only 4 bits. You may have an 8-bit register, 10-bit, 16-bit register, 32-bit register, something like that. So for simplicity, we are considering 4 by 4 FIFO buffer. Okay. So now we know what are the values of the control register F1 and how they are recognized. Okay. So now how the data is transmitted? How the data is transmitted? So whenever the F1 bit in the control register is set to 1, whenever F1 is equal to 1 and F2 is equal to 0. F2 is equal to 0. What does it mean? So the register R1 is containing the data and R2 is empty. No data in R2. Then what we could do? So now we can generate a clock causing the register R2 to accept the data from register R1. Okay, now we can generate a clock, so which is going to perform the operation. What is that operation? The register R2 is going to accept the data from register R1 Okay, so when it occurs, whenever F1 is 1 and whenever F2 is 0. So after this operation is performed, then F1 is cleared, F1 is reset. F1 is reset means it will be cleared to 0 and F2 is set. So it will be set to 1. Okay. Now the data is moved from R1 to R2. So the initial data is moved based on the insert as well as input ready lines. So after the data is available in R1, F1 will contain 1 value and F2 will contain 0 value. Now if you want to move the content from R1 to R2, so then you could generate a clock so that the content in register R1 is moved to the register R2. Now F1 value will be cleared to 0 because there is no data in R1. The data has been moved to R2. So now F2 value is 1 and F3 value is 0. Then what to do? You can generate a clock pulse so that register R3 is going to accept the data from register R2. Now the data will be moved from R2 to R3. So once the data is moved, then F2 is reset to 0 and F3 will be 1. So as F4 is 0, now we can generate a clock so that the register R4 will get the data from register R3. Then finally F4 will be 1. So whenever the F4 is 1, the data is ready in R4. So based on the value of the output ready, so you can send this data to the data output lines and after that initiate the delete operation so that the data in the register R4 will be deleted. Okay. So if you want to set all the registers, with the value 0, then make a master clear. Then all control registers will be set to 0. So like this, a 4 by 4 FIFO buffer will work to transfer the data from one device to another device. So what is the basic advantage of this 4 by 4 FIFO buffer or FIFO buffer is to reduce the speed imbalance between the two devices, as we discussed previously. So because in the computer system there are so many devices which are going to perform the data transmissions, but there is a speed imbalance between those devices, such as we are going to transmit the data from keyboard to CPU. Keyboard is very slow, CPU is very fast. From CPU to monitor, CPU is very fast, monitor is very slow. From CPU to main memory, CPU is very fast, memory is fast enough. From memory to CPU, from CPU to hard disk drive, from hard disk drive to CPU. So these type of operations are there. From CPU to printer. So to make sure that the speed imbalance to reduce the speed imbalance, definitely we need to use the buffers. So that is why if you consider several devices, so the monitor, if you consider a monitor, if you consider a printer, so all these different devices will have a buffer included within the device, so that whatever the data that is sent from the CPU will be directly uh, moved to the buffer, and then it will be slowly moved to the particular device. Accordingly, it will be slowly moved to the particular device. So like this, a 4x4 FIFO buffer will work. Hope you understand the logic. That's all for now.